In the waning light of the twin suns of Ralvath Prime, the battlefield stretched across the horizon like a graveyard of metal and ash. Human banners fluttered weakly in the scorched wind, their edges blackened by plasma fire. The air smelled of ozone, burnt flesh, and defeat. For Corporal Jackson Hale of the Terran Vanguard, the war was supposed to be over. The last transmission from High Command had declared victory, yet victory felt hollow when surrounded by the dying. Hale's armor was cracked along the shoulder plates, his pulse rifle jammed from dust and grit. He had been separated from his unit after an orbital strike shattered the ground beneath them. The once lush plains of Ralvath had turned into molten glass, and the silence that followed was worse than the chaos before it. Every breath rasped against his helmet filter as he limped through the wreckage, searching for survivors, though deep down he knew none were coming. The war between humans and Illyrians had raged for 6 years. What began as a misunderstanding over mining rights had spiraled into genocide on both sides. The Illyrians, graceful, luminous beings whose bioluminescent veins pulsed beneath translucent skin, had been humanity's greatest threat and greatest mystery. They fought with elegance, wielding energy constructs that bent the laws of physics. Yet for all their power, they were losing ground to human tenacity and brutal tactics. Now, as Hale stepped through a ravaged trench, his boots crunched over shattered Illyrian armor. He paused, scanning the wreckage, and that's when he heard it, a faint, broken sound, halfway between a whisper and a plea. Instinctively, his rifle snapped up. He turned toward a collapsed transport and found movement among the debris. There, pinned beneath a twisted beam, was an Illyrian warrior. Her once shimmering armor was dimmed and cracked. The soft glow of her veins flickered like a dying candle. She was paralyzed from the waist down, her long silver hair tangled with blood and dust. Hale's first thought was to finish her off. The war had hardened him. He had seen what her kind could do, how they tore through human lines with merciless efficiency. Yet as he aimed, she raised a trembling hand, palm outward, the universal gesture of surrender. "Please," she said weakly, her voice melodic even through pain. "Don't leave me here." Hale hesitated. Every instinct screamed to walk away. Orders were clear. Illyrian survivors were to be left for retrieval units, or eliminated. No exceptions. But the battlefield around him was deserted. No retrieval units were coming for either of them. The war might have ended, but mercy was still a crime. "Why should I help you?" he asked, voice gravelly. Her silver eyes flickered open. "Because I helped yours once." Hale froze. She wasn't lying. He could see it in her gaze. Somewhere, somehow, their paths had crossed. Memory stirred. The siege of Vendor Ridge, 2 years ago, when an Illyrian medic had secretly spared captured human soldiers. Command had dismissed it as propaganda. But what if it had been real? He lowered his weapon, cursing under his breath. "You're lucky I'm a fool," he muttered, and started clearing the debris. The metal beam was heavy, fused to the ground by heat. Every muscle screamed as he pried it loose. Finally, with a grunt, he shifted it enough to drag her free. Her legs were limp, spinal damage, maybe worse. She gasped in pain as he pulled her into the open. The fading light painted her face gold and crimson, and for the first time Hale saw not an enemy, but a being terrified of dying alone. He patched her wounds with a med gel from his kit. The substance hissed as it sealed gashes along her side. She watched him silently, her eyes studying his scarred human face. "You risk execution," she whispered. "Your kind would not forgive this." He gave a bitter laugh. "My kind stopped forgiving a long time ago." As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. Hale set up a makeshift shelter from broken plating, started a low fire from his emergency pack, and rationed out water. The Illyrian, she told him her name was Lasara, barely spoke. When she did, her words were slow, heavy with exhaustion. She told him about her people's last stand, how the High Command had ordered a retreat, abandoning wounded soldiers like her. "We were expendable," she said with a tremor in her voice. "We fought for honor. But honor burns away quickly in the fire of defeat." Hale understood that better than he wanted to admit. Humanity called its soldiers heroes, but when the battles ended, most were discarded just as easily. They both fought for species that no longer remembered what they were fighting for. Days passed. Hale tried calling for extraction, but his comms were dead, no signal. Food was dwindling. Lasara grew weaker. Her bioluminescent glow dimmed further each day. He fashioned a stretcher from composite scraps and began the slow journey across the wasteland, dragging her behind him. They traveled through the ruins of once majestic cities, glass towers half buried in sand, ghostly reminders of civilizations that had burned themselves out. Along the way, they talked. Slowly, the walls between them eroded. Lasara told him that her people once revered humanity, calling them the Echo Race, beings of chaos and creation, destined to reshape the stars. But when first contact soured, reverence turned to hatred. Hale listened, silently absorbing every word, realizing how easily history twisted into bloodshed. On the fifth night, while camped beneath the shattered ribs of an old shuttle, Hale awoke to distant thrusters. A human patrol drone, a scavenger class, was sweeping the area. If it spotted Lasara, it would vaporize her instantly. "Stay quiet," he hissed, pulling a thermal tarp over them both. The drone sensors scanned the ground, beams of red light slicing through the dark. Lasara's glow betrayed them, faint but visible. Without thinking, Hale pressed his hand over her chest, dimming the light as best he could. He could feel the faint rhythm of her twin hearts beneath his palm. The drone passed overhead, scanning, then moved on. Lasara looked up at him afterward, eyes wide with disbelief. "You risked your life again." "Guess I'm not good at following rules," Hale said, forcing a grin. But inside, something deeper stirred, something he hadn't felt in years. Humanity. The next morning, the sound of approaching boots shattered their fragile peace. A Terran search team had arrived, soldiers in full armor, rifles raised. Their captain recognized Hale immediately. "Corporal, you're alive. Command thought you were dead." Then his visor shifted toward Lasara. "What is that?" Hale's mind raced. He could hand her over. He'd be hailed a hero, maybe even promoted. Or he could do what was right. "She's a prisoner," he said quickly. "Intel value. Needs medical care." The captain snorted. "Orders are to purge all hostiles. No exceptions." He raised his weapon. Lasara's eyes met Hale's. No fear this time, just acceptance. She knew what was coming. And that's when Hale did the unthinkable. He stepped between them. "Stand down, Captain," he said, voice steady. "You'll have to go through me." The squad froze. "You've lost your mind, Corporal," the captain spat. "You're defending an alien. Call it what you want," Hale said. "But I won't let you murder someone who can't fight back." The standoff felt like an eternity. Guns trained on him, hearts pounding. Finally, the captain lowered his rifle. "You've just ended your career, Hale," he said coldly.